Oh, and that is bulleted. Wow. Titleist GTS3 up against the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond Max. Head to head, let's see which one comes out on top. So two huge driver launches for 2026. Obviously we saw the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond Max launch earlier in the year, around that January time. Titleist have just launched their new GTS lineup, which has been phenomenal. So two big heavyweights in this driver category going head to head. GTS3, 9 degree, I've got it set at A1, set at 9 degree, weight on the front track in the neutral position, which is the center, and we've got a standard 5 gram weight at the back. Quantum Triple Diamond Max, new version for Callaway in 2026, the Max in the Triple Diamond, forgiveness, and that's where it's going to stack up against the GTS3. The standard Triple Diamond will probably go up against the GTS4, that's why I've got these two together. 9 degree head, again, set at 9 degree, neutral weight placement at the back of the head. Both exactly the same shafts and exactly the same grips. Tensai 1K black, 65 in an X, both Golf Pride +4 MCC grips, so very equal test. Right, so we're going to start off with the GTS3. We're going to hit 3 shots with this, into the Quantum for 3, back to 3 and 3, so we're not going to get too much of a run with each particular drive. We're going to have a little look, obviously, as TrackMan data between the two, but also maybe my sort of visuals of just the looks, the feel off the club face. Again, a very personal choice of these aspects, but for me, I always think it's quite an important thing to look at. So obviously GTS3 looks phenomenal. Big fan of how the Titleist sits. Black gloss finish on the head. GTS logo, very subtle, a little bit more of a traditional shaping of the head is probably a good way to say it with the Titleist. Okay, touch low in the face, just had a little peel on me on that one. Launched touch low because of the strike, but felt very nice and solid off the club face. 267 carry, obviously just launched a bit low. So obviously, as you see the Titleist launch, we've got that split mass technology. I have done deep reviews of these, so you can go and check those out for more in-tech detail. But ultimately, we've got this split mass technology, more of that thermoform, sort of lighter material, a bit like a carbon in a way, that wraps all the way around. So we've got this split mass at the back and the front. So ultimately helping with a bit more dialing in of customization, as well as added forgiveness and speed. Okay, good solid strike. Just lost that a tiny bit up that right hand side. So the spin's just crept a little bit on that, but the launch was better. 270 through the air. I think as Titleist, massive fan of how they look as well as how they feel. Feel very solid. I think the sound is fantastic with the Titleist. It's just, you get that feedback through it without being too hard off the face. Really good sound to it. There's a little reaction to that right one. That's a good solid hit though. Bit more of a penetrating flight on that. Probably be a little bit lower on that spin. Yeah, 2.4 spin. 164 ball, 276 carry. Right, let's jump into 3 with the Quantum. Okay, so the Callaway Quantum, and this is the Triple Diamond Max, a new version. We saw it on tour previous generations ago, and this is the first year it's come actually into market. We've obviously seen Triple Diamond before, which has been their low spin head. This is now creating low spin with forgiveness, and this is where for me it sits a little bit more in line with maybe the GTS3 over the GTS4. So in terms of being max, it's a little bit more longer from that front to back, bit more weight at the back, helps to create that more forgiveness element, but keeping that Triple Diamond low spin characteristics. That's the sort of idea. It has been a very sort of popular option for a lot of golfers. Now, into that playing position look-wise, it's very different to what we see with the Titleist. Number one, we see all that carbon on the crown coming in onto the top of the head. Gloss finish, that sort of matte charcoal front section that blends into the club face. And the shape of the head now is a little bit more elongated from front to back, so maybe a little bit more of a triangular sort of look to it as opposed to more of a rounded look that we see in the GTS3. Sits incredibly square, no logoing on the top of the head, so very clean look in regards to that. Bulleted, wow. That's out there. That's got to be long. It's a great strike. 164 ball, 11 launch, 2.6, 275. That felt phenomenal off the club face. Oh, just lost that a bit up the right, a bit like I did with the Titleist there. Just drifted on me a tiny bit. Strike was decent. Again, good ball speed, 165 area. 2.8, 276. Looking to be a little bit more carry on those first couple of shots. So the Triple Diamond Max, we see that track at the back. We've got a weight, heavier weight in there, which is the red one. That can be moved from neutral, which is actually in the heel section, more into that toe, which would give it a little bit more that fade bias. So the track on the Titleist GTS is at the front of the head with a 5 gram back weight. This is actually all the way around. So we've got a weight system at the back and a small weight at the front. Both have obviously got neck sleeves in, so you can dial in that loft. I've got all these set pretty neutral at 9 degree. A very stunning sort of carbon look to this, just very different shape to what we see with the Titleist. Yeah, nice shot. And a great feel off the club face. A good sound. It's a slightly different sound to the Titleist. Not in a bad way, just a slightly different sound to it. Right, so back into the GTS3 for another 3 shots. Okay, there's a little heely one, and that's flown great. I was expecting that to peel off right a lot more than what that actually has done. That's not moved a great deal at all and hasn't dropped a lot either. So a little heel, see that spin just jumps a little bit to 3,000, but I tell you what, you take that all day along the golf course. So this is where I think these two options are really good, both the Quantum and the GTS. The forgiveness levels are just pushing the boundaries. That's what these brands are typically doing. They're trying to make these clubs more forgiving as they work through, just shifting weight, saving weight, repositioning it. We've heard it all before, but it does help to try and create that more higher moment of inertia number, which is going to help us all at, well, all levels of golfers in a way. Good strike again, just a little bit up that right. It's a good flight though. Probably just feels a little bit, what's the right word? Maybe a touch softer off the club face with the Titleist. This is maybe a word I would probably use a little bit more of there. But all these you can see is pretty much carrying in a very similar area, aren't they? So if we just pop these two drivers side by side, there's a little comparison in just that head sort of shaping. Obviously two very different looks with the crowns, etc. going on, but I'd say that shaping maybe a little bit more of a triangular look with the Quantum, where the Titleist is a little bit more of a rounded sort of pear shape, so to speak, in terms of the shaping of the head. We look at the club head themselves, and I mean they look pretty similar on the depth. Maybe the Titleist a slightly deeper face. Bit hard to say because that charcoal on the Quantum just blends very nicely into the club face, where we have got more of a prominent sort of split from that black gloss finish into a slightly more grey finish on the GTS. I think both drivers do sit incredibly square, which I do like. Okay, one more with the GTS3 and we'll move back into the Quantum. Oh, wow. That is nailed. What a ball flight that is. Very similar, to be honest, with the Quantum there. Ball speed, 166. That's the quickest. Probably I've just moved that a touch quicker on the club head speed. But look at that 284 carry. That's a bit of a standout one for now. Okay, so back into the Quantum Triple Diamond Max. Not a bad strike. Fraction low. On the club face, got it really picky, good club head speed, 113, 165 ball, just launched a fraction low, which is why it's just dropped a little bit of distance, maybe in comparison to that Titleist. So I think when we look at the looks, those two, again, this is my personal opinion and what I prefer, and we're all different, aren't we? But I think just for me, I prefer the cleaner look of the Titleist. I don't mind the Quantum at all. I quite like the carbon, if I'm being honest, but just that clean look of the Titleist and the shape of the Titleist, I just slightly prefer it for me. Both sit really, really square, which is brilliant for me personally. And then the feel off the club face is I'll probably just edge to that slightly softer feel. It feels like the ball's just on there a little bit longer. Sometimes the Callaway just feels a little bit harder. Obviously we've got that Tri-Force face. It's all about ball speed off the club face, isn't it? Just feels a little bit harder to me, just in comparison to the Titleist. I'm not saying it's too hard by any means, but it's just a slightly harder feel. Or firmer feel. That's a Good flight. It's a better flight, narrow, nice and straight. Some nice numbers with both of these drivers. Again, 112.5, 163. A little bit of a higher spin there actually, wasn't it? 3,200. Solid. Good strike, good flight. Yeah, nice ball flight. Liking the numbers we're seeing with that as well. So we're going to hit 3 more with the GTS3, 3 more with the Quantum, then we're going to look at some numbers. Okay, so there's 9 shots hit with each of these drivers. Let's go and check some numbers out and maybe see if one has the edge over another. Okay, so if we check out the dispersion rings to kick things off with here, maybe GTS, it being the white ring, just has that slight edge over the Quantum, just in consistency of dispersion. And then when we look at the numbers, and these are the averages, we can see club head speed pretty much identical, 112 area. You can see ball speed, again, is identical at 164. Launch, Quantum was a little bit low. I think there was a couple, maybe one more that caught a little bit low in the face there. Yeah, it's just about a degree difference on that launch. Spin, pretty identical there with them both. Carry, the GT3 just edging it, probably because of that little bit of extra launch there, giving that 3 yards more carry. And we can see the total is pretty identical. Little bit of difference of height, again, probably because of that launch. And the smash is both identical as well. I mean, there's hardly anything to split between those two drivers. Okay, so really hard to split those two drivers in terms of the numbers from Trackman and performances. We always know those subtle differences on strike can just change that launch a little bit of that spin. So that's where we've got to look at as an average over the run of a multiple shots. Now we could test that again, another 9, and they could just flip slightly the other way, but they're very two similar performing drivers. I think it's then going to go down to maybe brand preference for you as a golfer, and then maybe down to a little bit of feel and looks. Obviously, you've got to build in the shaft, get the settings right for you as well. But 2 great drivers there for 2026. Post comments down below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to see any more head-to-head videos, then do drop them in the comments underneath this video. And also remember, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Really appreciate your help. And hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.